Yeah, welcome to this session. Um, and today I'm going to talk about some of the works that I've published. Last time, I remember showing you the physical books, but now I'd like to show you um, the soft copies, the online copies, some of my websites, to see the number of books that I have published. And the aim of this is to enable you know my works, where they can be found, and so that actually what makes an author is the audience. It is the people who made Chinua Achebe. It is the readers who made Ngugi wa Thiong'o. It is the readers who made Charles Dickens. It is the readers who made Shakespeare. Yeah. So unless you, as the audience, actually read our works, we as writers, we count for nothing. Yeah. The self can only become, important. The self can only find fulfillment through others. And that is why, through your reading of my books, um, you know, as an author, I will grow and I will be made. So in this video, I just want to show you some of the works. So the first one here is the English Catapult KCSE Revision Paper 1. This is a book which I published in 2016. Uh, and it covers closed test, listening and speaking, um, and some short forms of oral literature. So for those of you who are interested in the high school course, this book is invaluable to you, and it can be found in the Kenya National Library, and also this book can also be found in Nuria Bookshop, and it can be found in Zemia. It can be found at Nzemia Publishers near Jivanji. And then we have English Catapult KCSE Revision Paper 3. This book shows you how to write essays for high school and how to mark them. For teachers who want to know how to mark, this book is essential. It is a friend you need to keep very, very closer. Then we have English Catapult KCSE, English Paper 2. It looks at the different types of reading, like intensive reading, critical reading, um, different types of reading. Or we have poetry. This book has more than 200 moods. And I've shown the moods, the tones, and attitudes in high school. The question of describing feelings is very important, and most people don't perform well in this area. And this book has a lot, and I've analyzed great poets like Robert Frost from the United States, and also our own Chris Okemwa. He wrote a book called The Gong, which won a prize. And I've analyzed some of his poems in English Catapult paper 2. And then next on the queue is the Blizzard Bees. I talked about the Blizzard Bees in my first video. It's a book that talks about appearance and reality. This was my second book, and I look at the character Eugene, the character Fresha, the character Nancy Omolo. I look at the character Wambaka, and many other characters in university. This is the story of Eugene, a young man with a great vision. But Eugene's life is frustrated by um, jealousy in a family. And in this book, I try to show that the environment in which someone grows in, if you grow up in an environment full of jealousy, bitterness, a family that does not support you, is likely to impede your success. And so I will talk about the Blizzard Beast. The oxymoron is just about appearance and reality. Somebody looks bliss, but the inside is abyss. So we'll look at this later in one of the reviews. Um, and then we have Hole and other stories. Hole and other stories from Africa is when we go back to traditional rites. Yeah, we try to explore the merits of African traditional rites, and it has writers like Felix Okuku, who has grown up. I've seen Felix grow as a writer. We also have Robert Rotich, who writes a very good story about my grandfather's old coin. This is one of the Kalenjin stories. It reveals Kalenjin culture. So this book is about stories from communities that are rare on the literary scene. Then the next uh, the next book on the, of course, Holy and Other Stories was published very recently. Then we have a comparative reading of Pan-Africanism and Afropolitanism, Come Back Baba. In this book, I try to speak back at voices, yeah, voices that try to overturn the influence of Pan-Africanism in Africa or on the contemporary scene. So um, we I authored this book. I co-edited with Professor John Mugubi, and we are trying to answer back at an Afropolitanist voice, and we tried to compare the two using works of African literature and also using sociological methods, where we did a research to see the influence of Pan-Africanism and Afropolitanism. Um, and then the next book on the queue is The Pearl on the Horizon. The Pearl on the Horizon. I think I talked about The Pearl on the Horizon. The Pearl on the Horizon, the Pearl on the Horizon is a sequel of Bliss Abyss. It's the continuation of Bliss Abyss. Bliss Abyss is about Eugene and Fresher in college. The Pearl on the Horizon is about Eugene and Fresher after university or after college. Um, and then the next book is Postmodern Reading of Contemporary East African Fiction. Um, Now, this one is a critique of modernism. It's actually a scholarly work in which I critique modernism using postmodernist thought. And my major scholars are Nietzsche, Heidegger, and Jacques Derrida. I use the three scholars to deconstruct um, the tenets of modernism. Modernism was a philosophy that arose in the 16th century, and it was based on rationality. It was basically based on rationality. And I try to prove that rationality is not enough. We need to um, elevate or to think about postmodern thought. Then the next book on the queue is Men in One and Other Stories, Men in One and Other Stories. This one I talked about in the other video. Then we have Say My Name and Other Stories from Home and Away. Um, don't know why uh, I've gone to another book, Say My Name and Other Stories from Home and Away. This is just about um, hybridity and cultural essentialism. It's about hybridity and cultural essentialism. We will talk about that when we come to the review. And then we have Armageddon and Other Short Stories, an anthology of short stories from Africa. This one is about climate change. It's a book about climate change. The stories here are based on eco-criticism, the nexus between literature and the natural environment. Then we have towards a theory of spirit possession, and then we have otherness and pathology. That there is a connection between marginalization and mental health issues. And this is a critical work based on my PhD thesis. It is based on my PhD thesis of 2021, Recentering Mother Earth. This is a book that has had a lot of impact on LinkedIn, maybe because of the topical issue of climate change. I argue that at the center of life is not humanity. I argue that the Mother Nature forms the center of life. And I use selected works of East African prose fiction. So those are my works, and thank you for listening. So in the next video, I will not be looking at reviews of these works, the reviews of these works, and I will begin with maybe the Pearl on the Horizon, and so on. Thank you for listening to me. Listening to me.